Hello, everybody, and thanks for watching today. We're going to jump straight into things and not waste a lot of time because we know you're busy. So first thing is, this is a publication by Online Strategy Podcast and What Works TV. My name is Jason Wydro. I am the owner and founder of W3 Developing LLC, specializing in dental practice marketing. And I have on with me today a very good friend and very seasoned and experienced dental consultant who has worked in a lot of different scenarios and situations. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to him just to introduce himself very briefly, and then we're going to move forward.
Hi, my name is Devon Mortimer. I have been a consultant for all sorts of different practices for the better part of 15 years, including for dentistry for between 4 and 5 years. So very well versed in everything from startup practices or scratch practices, as you want to call it, all the way up to multi-million-dollar behemoths and multi-practice behemoths as well. So I've seen pretty much anything and everything you can throw at me.
Awesome. So today, to get straight down to things, today what we're going to talk about is the relationship between marketing and promoting your practice and your services and everything else, and the internal staff and front desk. And we would have to have endless amount of bookshelf to discuss all the potential things that can come up in those arenas. But we're gonna stick around to we're gonna really try to stay focused so you can get the most out of this video and walk away with something valuable. So first thing I'm going to throw out there is one thing that as working in the digital marketing area for 19 years, one thing that I've seen consistently, particularly in relation to private practices and dentists most specifically, is that when you have a new public that is coming to your door, calling, emailing, writing a letter, any way that they're reaching to you, even if it's in the practice and they're asking a question, these are all contact points that your front desk has to respond to in a very good way. And this is why Devon and I are talking about this, because his expertise is in the area of dealing with staff, working with them, and ensuring that they're doing their job correctly and being trained on how they should be doing that to ensure that every single potential possible new qualified public that you can get in the door turns over into a loyal, public for you and your practice. And Devon, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you and tell me some of your experience with some of the things that can happen with staff members at front desk or other staff in these situations.
Yes, well, things that can happen is you really need to have your front desk to be really positive, cheerful, upbeat. I've seen quite a few circumstances where they were not, and it didn't have the most positive outcome. And I've seen quite a few where they were very upbeat, positive, handled everything really well with your patients when they come in, or prospective patients at this point, and we're able to really grow a big following and big loyal patient base because everything was handled so well. So it really depends on how they approach it. How your front desk is approaching things will really determine how many referrals you get, how much the person's going to listen to the doctor themselves, this patient. Everybody is a part of the sale for every single interaction from the first point of contact, whether it's a phone call, email, text, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it needs to be handled properly from the jump to be able to position the practitioner later so that they will listen to what the practitioner says.
Absolutely. A great explanation. And one thing to throw onto that, it's like, and I tell this to my clients, I say, look, if you're going to be spending, $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month on advertising, you've got to make sure that every dollar that you put out comes back to you. And so, and this is real life experience. And Devon, I know you have you had an example about two staff members that switched out. We can jump to that in a sec. And the difference in the statistics, right? The difference in the conversion, meaning how many appointments one person got booked versus doing the same job of another person. It's pretty incredible, right? Because the person who got the better result was obviously doing the correct actions that attained the right result. And but yeah, in the terms of marketing in our space and everything, but when we're pushing people at your practice and pushing people in the door, we want you to get the most out of it. And that's my job, to get people to your door, get them calling and reaching. But Devin, anyway, before I get off on that, what you gave me an interesting example a while ago about the two staff members that swapped positions to see what had happened.
Yes. Well, I had worked with a client. It was actually a dental client, and his office manager had come to training for a company that I was working with. And they had a staff member. Their front desk was kind of a bit part-time, and the results were really up and down, kind of all over the place with how many patients were being scheduled. So what I actually felt like this particular person needed to be let go. For various reasons, not just for that one, which is not usually the case. Usually we can train the front desk. It almost always is handleable as long as the person's trainable, right? This particular person wasn't, I had the feeling just from everything I'd heard. So I had them go test, and I wanted to have them do a test with her and actually get the numbers and statistics of what results she was actually getting. So it wasn't just my gut. I don't want to just go with my gut, right? I want tangible results. And so I went with, I had them go back. I went with the office manager to have her make calls herself to schedule patients and see how many she could do in a short period of time. And then I gave the front desk 6 hours to a full day to actually see how many she could schedule. And I found out she was doing anywhere between 1 and 3 patients were being scheduled per day. Which isn't the highest number. You want at least 3 for like a new person that's looking to get patients scheduled in the first 4 to 6 hours. So she was not very low on that number. And so I had the manager call and see what she could do. And within 30 minutes, she was able to schedule 3 herself. Wow. So at the very top end of the front desk's production. So it just goes to show she was able to way outproduce her, which means the front desk wasn't the right person.
Yeah, totally. That's such a great example, and I love that. And I'm gonna throw in an example too. There was practices that we were actually working with on the marketing level, and we would call the practice to have a meeting with the doctor, just to call in because we had an appointment scheduled and so forth to go over statistics and things like that on their marketing. And a lot of times, the reception, whoever was picking up the phone didn't actually know it was us. And they would pick up the phone and immediately we could hear disinterested. There was no real interest in who was calling. Like you were saying about cheerfulness and these things that more are positive things that one feels or perceives, right? When somebody communicates with you, right? They're showing some interest and interaction. And so anyway, we've observed this firsthand from doing our own calls, but we've also heard it firsthand from dentists that we're working with specifically on projects and tasks, on marketing stuff where their front desk or internal staff are not picking up the phone. They're not answering emails. They're not doing other things. And the dentist, the owner, is finding out about this. And in some cases, which is really, kind of a foreign concept when you think about management and ownership, sometimes it's conceived in the practice as well. That's just how they do things. That's just how it's done. They've never really been interested in the phone or whatever, whatever ideas could be there. So we hear all these different things and see all these different things, but the fact of the matter is the more people you can get in a chair and spend time with them, right? Like with the dentist spending their time what they should be doing, as opposed to trying to untangle all these things all the time or losing potential business. I mean, it's very interesting. We did a basic study with a few different dentists on how many people turned away from their practice because they weren't handled properly by the internal staff or the front desk. All those different contact points, calling in, texting in, emailing in, writing in, whatever it is, even showing up in the office, all these different contact points. And it was evident, Devin, exactly like you said, when the reception was welcoming, when it was cheerful, when those staff had their training on per se, meaning that they were doing the correct actions that they were trained to do, then the result was always optimum. It was always predictable and optimum. So anyway, I have a dog in the fight for this because we push people to their door, and we need them to convert for that practice, turn into actually paying clients, because without that, the practice isn't making the return on investment and nothing else. So we have a dog in the fight on this. And this is why, W3 is bringing in Devon to help. And we're having these conversations now to really start to enter in this new area for the company that's going to be able to help our clients much more and bring more to the table for them. So I took up a lot of time there. I want to keep this balanced because I just don't want to talk my head off. I just have so much to say, but what would you, so if you're watching this video, the first thing I want to say is you can go to w3developing.com/free. And that's W3, it's a number 3, w3developing.com/free. Fill out that information. And you can we'll receive that and we can just schedule an appointment with you. We actually do a completely complimentary consultation. This isn't a sales call. This is not, we're asking for credit cards. It's nothing like that. We're getting on the phone. We want to find out about you, your practice. We want to find out what's happening, what your concerns are, any area that you're having trouble with, so that we can find out if we're a good fit for you and what we can help you with. And if it turns into a service, if not, whatever. The goal is we want to speak with you so we can do what we can to help you up front. Devon, did you want to add anything else to that? I just wanted to put that out there. So if you're watching, you're getting a lot of information, but we want to make sure you can also get a hold of us.
Absolutely. And at the very least, what we want to do from this free practice analysis is to really find out what's happening with you, because no two practices are exactly the same. So we don't treat them exactly the same. You've got different staff, you have different backgrounds, different training, different things that are needed. So everything needs to be customized for your practice. And so what we do is, especially for me, when I do my practice analysis, you're gonna be talking more than about what's happening right now, what's the real scene, how can we handle those problems and those issues.
Might be having, you're breaking up a little bit, Devon. It might just be the Wi-Fi is having a little snag.
Yeah, sorry. I think it was on my end. I'm on my Wi-Fi went out for a minute.
Oh, no problem. I can hear you now.
What I said? You heard me?
You cut out a little bit on that last part, the last probably 20 seconds or so.
Okay, I may have to recap some of this, but I'll just go over it quickly. I was saying for the free practice analysis, especially when I do one with the practice, I want to really do a deep dive into the practice and find out what exactly is happening. What's the real scene, that, so to speak, that's happening in your practice right now, and what's the fastest way to handle the biggest pain points that you're running into. I like to have results very quickly, so I like to really just attack the biggest pain points first, and then we can go into the more long-standing issues. So the big thing is, at the very least, you'll get some things to attack and some information on how to improve your practice right away, even if you don't go with us.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it, and I've seen it firsthand. It's really incredible, Devon, like what we've seen, right? When you give one piece of information and that doctor starts using it in the practice, one tip, right? One thing. And then noticeably, it's very interesting for me, in the marketing realm, it's like they can't wait to talk again down the road. They're like, when are we going to talk again? Because they're excited for the next piece of data, because it's changing. Yeah. The structure is changing in a positive way, the internal practice in different ways, right? So anyway, this is really exciting times. This is such an exciting time of business and everything else, because there's so much opportunity out there today. And I personally believe that every dental practice out there deserves to be a flying success, lucrative, successful, and those owners that go to school for 8 years or more, in many cases, and continued education and everything else, deserve the freedom of having a nice, free-flowing practice that really produces for them for all their hard work and what they do. So that's my belief in all of this, and this is why I have such a strong interest in this field. And I know, with Devon, your experience and everything, and then bringing in the marketing all together, we just have so much to offer, and so many practices to help expand. Really, I'm just so excited about it. And if you're watching this, we're talking a little bit, I guess, internal here per se, but we have such a vested interest in your success, as an owner and what you deserve.
Yeah, it's a big deal. I mean, you really need to capitalize on all the marketing dollars that you spend. And let's face it, marketing's not cheap. So you really need to be able to capitalize on everything that you're bringing in. So the last thing you want to do is spend all this time, effort, money to get someone in the front door and then have the back door wide open, so to speak. So they come in the front door, maybe do minimum service and then just leave and then go somewhere else. And that's such wasted dollars. And you also don't get to help that person. You look at dentists especially, they got into this to help people. Right. Yeah. And, we don't see too many that don't really want to help people. So we want to be able to help people make money doing it. Really.
Absolutely. And just on that point, right, you gave a great example of someone coming in and leaving, like a public, right? But even on the same way, and I know you know this from experience, but the staff too, hiring the right staff. And again, this is an area that I know that this is your wheelhouse, Devon.
Totally.
But these are all the areas we can help you with. So the real purpose of this video was just the relationship of the staff, in-house staff, and those contact points, communication points that people reach out to, potential public referrals, anything that will help grow your practice, and how your staff are trained to respond to that. Are they the right staff for your practice? And really solidifying your position as an owner. There's just so many things at work here, and so many things to talk about. We're trying to keep these short, so we're going to end off soon. But Devon, was there anything else that you wanted to add into the mix? Any tip or anything that watchers can take home with them today on this?
I think really paying attention to your front desk and actually listening in, or making a call from an unknown number and trying to schedule an appointment just to see how they actually schedule it, is very, very key. You have to hear what's actually being said. Like you said, sometimes you call in, and I've had places I've worked at where you call in, and even working there, I couldn't get to the scheduler, years ago. And that doesn't work. They've got so many marketing dollars tied in to getting new patients in, then you drop the ball on the communication side, then all of that, a lot of those dollars are just going right down the drain. So it's important. Communication's the biggest thing. And it's also, I've also seen things like, front desk, have someone call in. I've heard the front desk say to somebody, "Oh yeah, no, we don't do that. Thanks, bye." Like, oh, wait, no. There should have been a few more words involved there. And, ask some more questions, kind of find out, because I've had cases where we call them back and I've salvaged them and found out we actually did do what they wanted. They just go, "Oh, do you take insurance?" "No, we don't. Thanks, bye." Okay. There's different ways to handle that. And we've actually called back and gotten them to come in, even though we didn't take their particular insurance, because maybe it was worth them getting the better care and they liked the personal touch. And there's all sorts of different ways you can handle prospective patients.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's great. That's a great tip, Devon. So calling in. So if you guys were listening, call in, have someone call into your own practice and see what happens when that call takes place. And that can give you a little footprint. But if you don't know exactly what to look for is another question. So that's, again, something that we can help you with. Particularly Devon can help you sort out, like, what are you looking for in that type of scenario? How should that phone be answered? And all that is super important.
Very. Well, I can help you with all that. We can take care of that. That's easy.
Absolutely. Well, great. Well, so the next episode, just so everyone who's watching, the next episode, what we're going to talk about is the formula that we worked out on the marketing side here. And what we worked out was, we're going to explain and break this down to you, how every new public that starts service with your dental practice has a potential value of $50,000 lifetime value. And you're probably going, that's completely impossible. That doesn't make any sense. I'm going to prove it to you and show you the exact numbers on the next episode of this. So stay tuned. Again, it's Online Strategy Podcast. Again, it's Devon Mortimer, Jason Wydro. Devon Mortimer, our acting consultant. Jason Wydro, owner and lead senior project manager for our marketing project. So thank you for watching today. We will talk to you soon.
Talk soon.
All right.